and I'm a brand ambassador and educator for Baby Tula. If you've seen me out and about, I do a lot of different shows across the country. And I'm here today to talk about some tips and tricks for baby wearing 101. So I'm going to give you like an overview of what it looks like to be baby wearing for the first time. Tell you a little bit about why you would want a baby wear. Any questions that you have, I'm this way now. No, I'm this way. You can put in the chat and you can let me know if you have any specific questions. I'd be happy to answer those. I will tell you from experience, the reason that I do this job, that I teach baby wearing, is because I was really bad at it in the beginning when I was first baby wearing. And I would love to make it a lot easier for people that are coming after me. So I will tell you a little bit about baby wearing, why you would want to do it. And we can talk about the different types of carriers. The way to choose a good carrier while you're still expecting is to think about what you want your carrier experience to look like. Sometimes you're familiar with different carriers that are out there, and we'll kind of go over that. But I'm going to leave your question for a little bit while I talk about the reasons why, and then we'll get into picking the right carrier a little bit later. And at the end, I will talk to you a little bit about what it looks like to be wearing for the first time, some tips and tricks as to how to be successful at wearing for the first time, and to give you a little bit of information about how those first times are going to look. So I'm just going to get started. So many of you probably know one of the reasons why to baby wear is to have your hands free. That's the biggest thing, to be able to do other things while caring for your baby. But I'm not sure if you knew that wearing your baby helps you to learn their cues, what a happy cry or a happy noise sounds like, what a hungry noise sounds like, what an angry cry sounds like, what all those different cues that you want to know, unsure, what all those things sound like. They're really close to your face. So all those noises sound different. And the closer they are to you, the easier it is to learn those cues. I started wearing my first baby at 10 weeks. So he was a little bit older when I started, and I started wearing my daughter in the hospital. And I feel like even to this day, our communication is a little bit different, a little bit easier, my daughter and I. It could be personality, but I chalk it up to baby wearing. Also, if you're planning on being a nursing parent, it is really easy after you learn how to nurse and after you learn how to wear to put those things together. Really easy access to the food stores if you're wearing your baby. Also, you benefit and the baby benefits from skin to skin contact. So you wearing your baby helps to monitor their breathing and their body temperature, to let you know how they're feeling, how they're breathing, and they're right up close to you. Yeah, I'm reading your questions here too. Yeah, it's hard in the beginning. We're going to talk about whether like your baby likes to be worn or not. At the very end, we'll get some tips and tricks for like getting your baby in the carrier for the first time, and if you think they hate it and what that looks like and what to do. And I apologize for the sun. I'm out here on my porch. It is lovely, but the sun is a little bit in my face, so I apologize. Some benefits that you'll see later on is sparks in intelligence. Like my kids have tremendous vocabularies. And I don't know, you guys don't know me that well, but I talk a lot. And so I chalk that up to the fact that they just heard me talking all day long, every day, all the time, because I was all up in their face and they were all up in my face. And so we were always talking about the things that we were seeing together. Even when I was wearing kids on my back, we would be looking at the same stuff and we would be talking about it. And, you know, my husband and I are pretty smart people. I'm not going to lie, but my kids are ridiculous smart. And I chalk that up to the fact that I wore both of them, and they got introduced to the environment that I was in right away. So, yeah. Elena, I totally get that. I totally get being frustrated with not being able to wear properly and not getting it. I was right there. And I will tell you right now, everybody on this call can baby wear, every single person. So if I can do it and I was super bad at it, you guys could do it too. So we're going to go over a little bit of different kinds of carriers that are out there and what those carriers look like. I have most of them here. Some are tula, some are not. So we'll kind of go through those. And I'm going to kind of stand up and show you what some of those look like so you can see what might be interesting for you and what the benefits are for some of those carriers. So I'm going to start out with one that you might all know. This is a stretchy wrap. And stretchy wraps are for the newborn stage. This happens to be an Ergo Baby, because I don't know if you guys knew this, but Tula and Ergo Baby are sister companies. So you'll find that we're going to shows together a lot, and we're definitely working together. So this is actually a stretchy wrap from Ergo Baby. You can get stretchy wraps from other companies as well. What I love about a stretchy wrap is that it is for the newborn stage. You wear specifically on the front of your body. Some of them, all of them you can forward face in, and then some of them you can forward face out at later stages. But a stretchy wrap is great for a newborn. It's nice and soft and cuddly. It molds to the baby. You can pre-tie it on your body, and it's what we call poppable carry. You can take your baby in and out of that carrier very easily once you have it on. It does take a little bit of work to tie this on. So that's where watching videos that the companies have comes into play. That's something that I would recommend for you if you're looking at different carriers. But this basically gets pre-tied around your body. You can pop the baby in and out. If you're in a cold climate, I know there's a lot of people from Florida here, but if you're in a cold climate, you can pop that baby into your carrier and then put your coat over them. So right out of the car seat into the carrier, and then put your big coat over them, so you don't need an extra snowsuit for them. The thing with a stretchy wrap is that they max out at a weight of probably about 20, 25 pounds. And what will happen is the baby will start traveling down your body. So stretchy wrap is really for the first 6 months of life, and then you would want to advance to a different carrier. Something similar to that is a woven wrap, and this is just one I happen to have in my collection. Basically, this is a long piece of woven fabric. It does not have the same stretch as a stretchy wrap, so it's going to be able to be supportive for a bigger baby for longer. It depends on the manufacturer of these woven wraps, and there are a lot of them out there. But you could, I've seen people wear newborns in woven wraps, woven wraps, and I've seen people wrap adults as a joke. So it probably isn't part of the normal wearing, but I've seen people do it. There is almost like a rabbit hole of information about woven wraps, different finishes that you can do, different carries that you can do. You can wear newborns, toddlers, you can wear on your hip, you can wear on your front, you can wear on your back in a woven wrap. The learning curve on this is, again, going to be a little bit bigger. So I'm going to read some of your comments and make sure that I'm not missing anything. I started out with a boba wrap and I loved it. It's hard. It's hard. I had to have somebody teach it to me. One of the things that I recommend is if you Google search or Facebook search, try to find a baby wearing group in your area. I volunteer for a baby wearing group in Chicago, which is where I'm from. And I do that because somebody was there when I needed help. And again, that's the reason why I do this. So stretchy wraps, woven wraps. We have something called a made-eye, which is basically a square of fabric with ties for the shoulders and ties for the waist. I don't have one right now because I borrowed mine to somebody and I didn't get it back. And I'm so mad because it was the first carrier I ever bought for myself. But something similar is going to be a soft structured wrap or a soft structured carrier. So this is one of the things that Tula does. This is a Tula Explore. There is a whole plethora of variety as far as soft structured carriers. This to me is like a good fitting pair of jeans. Your best fitting pair of jeans is not going to probably be my best fitting pair of jeans. So I always recommend that people try on carriers. Tula and Ergo Baby do a fantastic job with their carriers. Yes, hi. Hi, friend from Chicago. Yep. So this carrier usually has a structured waist on it. You can see this is pretty thick. This is where most of the baby weight is actually held on your body. So I just put mine on and I buckle it. And different carriers have different options, but we have a safety belt here. So I just put this on my body. And you can wear a newborn in this. This carrier does not need an infant insert, but there's some other carriers out there that need an infant insert, which is like a cushion and a pillow for a smaller baby to kind of raise them up in the carrier. We've had some advances at Tula and Ergo Baby, so we are not really promoting the carriers that need infant inserts anymore. But if you have a standard carrier and you need one, you can just call customer service and they can direct you on how to get one. So I shouldn't say this, but a lot of men and new dads like buckle carriers. I think it's the hardware. I'm not really sure. It's pretty easy to use, but there's some tips and tricks. This carrier happens to go from 7-pound newborn all the way up to toddlerhood. That's 45 pounds, probably wearing a toddler on your back. This carrier can face out as well, but in the beginning, you'll just be wearing facing forward. So I'm just kind of focus on that. Usually they just have regular arm straps. Some of them can be crossed in the back. This one has a shoulder clip that can be clipped. And then I just tighten. So it's very, very quick as far as a soft structured carrier. And that's what a lot of people like about it. But there's a whole variety of carriers out there. So somebody had asked, what is the best carrier for me and how am I going to know? Really, the best thing to do is find ones that you think you like. A 2-shouldered carry is always going to be more supportive than, let's say, a ring sling, which I'm going to show you in a second. It's always going to be more supportive because you're carrying on both sides of your body versus one side. So this is what I would call a one and done type carrier, where it goes from newborn all the way up to toddlerhood. Yeah, I'm reading your comments. The material of this particular carrier is linen and cotton. It's actually really beautiful. It reminds me of men's suiting, but there's so many different varieties out there. Tula does some hemp blends. We do all cotton. Ergo Baby does all cotton, and then they have some cool air mesh that they do. Ergo Baby actually has a hybrid of a stretchy wrap and a buckle carrier that will work if you don't want to do all of that stuff with the long pieces of fabric. But it's still only really for the first trimester. So you can take a look at those at Ergo Baby and stop and see my friend Erin at the booth. In addition to that, we have a ring sling. A ring sling is basically a long piece of woven fabric, just like this one that I held up before. And it has rings sewn into one end. If you have a woven wrap and you have, you can buy sling rings online, you can actually make your own no-sew ring sling. But if you want something that's more stable, you can buy a ring sling that's already converted. So this was just a long piece of fabric and they converted it into a ring sling. And a ring sling I love for newborns because it's just one piece of fabric. So it's nice and cool, but it's also really cushy. So you can get your baby in there. There's no structured waist. So it's a lot easier to sit in a carrier like this. If you're, there's a lot of people working from home these days. And, you know, if they're sitting at their desk job while also having their baby on them, a ring sling is a great opportunity for that. Something without a structured waist. So it was great for me when I had a newborn who always wanted to sleep on me when I was eating, because then I could sit in my chair and eat my food and she could just sleep away on me. It's also great for toddlerhood and babies that are just learning how to walk because they're up and down a lot, and then you don't have a ton of fabric hanging out on your body. So that is really all the different kinds of carriers. I'm going to grab my chair back over here. That is really all the different kinds of carriers that are out there. There is no one carrier that is the end all be all for everyone. So it really has to do with what you think you want your wearing journey to be like. Some people like that really squishy feel. Thank you so much for saying it's a pretty ring sling. I picked it out myself. So there is no end all be all. You have to kind of think of, what does my baby wearing journey look like? Do I want a 2-shouldered carry? Do I want something just for the newborn stage? Or do I want a carrier that's going to do all the things? If you're on a limited budget and you want a one and done carrier, I would suggest just a soft structured carrier, a buckle carrier, because it usually has the largest weight limit and has the most options for carrying, as far as on your front, facing out, on your back. So that's something to think of. All carriers manufactured in the United States and sold in big box stores are going to be safe. They're required to be safe. So there's no saying, you know, this carrier is going to hurt my baby, this one's not. All the carriers have to be safe. It's more about what's comfortable for you. I suggest spending a little bit more money and getting a carrier that's going to be with you for a long time, especially if you're on a budget, because you could buy a $35 carrier at Walmart, but it's only going to hold up to a certain point, and then you might have to upgrade to another carrier. That said, if you're really interested in wrapping, and that's what you think your baby wearing journey looks like, then buy one wrap and you can do so many things with it. So it's hard for me to tell you what that number one carrier is, but if after this meeting you want to ask me questions and tell me a little bit about what your baby wearing journey looks like or what you're interested in back at my booth, I'm happy to answer any individual questions that you have and try to kind of guide you there. I don't have very much time left. So one of the things I want to talk about is wearing for the first time, because I think that's really important. There's some safety things that we should probably go over too. So I'm going to do that really quick. Safety is A, B, C, D. So A is airway, making sure that there's no fabric covering your baby and that their airway is open at all times. You should always be able to fit 2 fingers in between your chin, the baby's chin, and their chest. And their chin should never drop to their chest, because if you think of their airway like a drinking straw, if it gets crimped, no air is going through there. So even if they're sleeping, if you need to turn their head or lift their chin up a little bit so it feels like they're sniffing, making sure that the airway is open is important. Also, that has to do with body position, which is B. Body position is making sure that they're nice and high and tight on your body. Making sure that their head is close enough that you could kiss the top of their head. And then comfort is really where people like me, educators, come in, making sure that the carrier is comfortable for you. If it's not, ask questions before you just say, I can't do this. This is not working. My baby hates it, whatever. Ask some questions. I know both Ergo Baby and Baby Tula do fit checks, because I do those for people. And it's usually like one little tiny thing that needs to be changed to make the carrier more comfortable. But we're there for you to be able to spend a half an hour with you and make sure that your carrier is comfortable for you. So that's something that should be part of your baby wearing journey too, is getting help from other people. And D is actually the funny one, is don't drop your baby. So making sure that you have a hand on your baby at all times when you're wrapping, especially when you're brand new to it. If you don't have somebody that can spot you while you're learning how to use the carrier, then make sure that you're practicing over a bed or a couch, some soft thing that the baby might fall on. It's probably not going to happen, but we always like that little insurance. So any suggestions for carriers for plus size women? Plus size carrier options. Tula has a 52-inch waist, so does Ergo Baby, and they offer options for extenders. So, and honestly, if you call customer service, they usually send out those Tula extenders for free. So bonus. I've had plenty of people say, there's no way that this carrier can fit me, and they do. I do not have any suggestions for twins, because we don't make twin carriers. But if you Google twin baby wearing, there's so much information out there. If you have more questions, you can meet me back at the booth. But let's just talk about wearing for the first time and what that looks like. So I always recommend taking your carrier out of the box. If you have a soft structure carrier, running those buckles through the straps like 10 times on each place that there's buckles will help. Breaking in your carrier, giving it a wash. If you're unsure about it, don't wash it before you practice with it. I usually recommend people practice with a stuffed animal at first, to give them a little bit of like leeway as to where do I put my hand and what do I do here. But I do want to talk about wearing your actual baby for the first time. So usually I recommend that people have a freshly diapered, freshly fed baby who is not tired. But we all live in the real world, and sometimes that's hard to come by. So 2 out of 3 of those ain't bad. If your baby, if you think that they're receptive to being worn, you can always, I usually give it 3 tries before I stop. So I usually will put my baby in the carrier, and usually when the fabric hits the top of their neck, they start to fuss. So if they do that, I just grab them like this and I bounce. If you think about all the movement that we had when we had a baby inside, that's what we're really trying to recreate. And bouncing the baby will move the fluid in their ears and help them to calm down. So as long as, their leg isn't in a weird position or whatever, you've checked to make sure that they're safely in the carrier, just grab them like this and just bounce. And sometimes I take a quick walk along the room and, just kind of give them that movement. And then I start doing the things necessary to get them in the carrier. So with here, I'm adjusting my carrier, making sure that they're nice and high and tight to my body. And I always tell people, the first couple of times that you try to wear your baby, they will cry. Most likely. There's pretty many babies. I don't know what the percentage is, but crying is really normal, and it's because of your hormones. It's way more serious that how you feel about it. But just give yourself a little grace and rock that baby and make sure that they're feeling okay, and then start again, adjusting your carrier and making sure that they're happy. And once you get them in the carrier, if they're still kind of fussy, take a quick walk around. And like I said, give it 3 tries each time and then take a break. That's my rule for everything. My kids and I, when they were little, we would go 3 places and then we would go home and rest. 3 seemed to be the limit for everything. So, what is the best option for a dad out of all items? Again, it's really hard to say. It depends on what the dad's interested in. Normally, I gravitate to buckle carriers, but I would want to know more about the person before I said, this is it. So you can definitely come back to the booth, ask me any questions that you have about that specific instance, and then I could make some recommendations. A lot of times, buckle carriers are like the no fuss, easy to learn carrier, and that's what I usually recommend to people, but it's not always true. So let's see, are there any other questions? Let's see. How old or how many months can they be in this ring sling in particular? This ring sling goes up to 35 pounds from 8 pounds. So I had very large children. They were already almost 9 pounds when they were born. So I wore in the hospital with my baby. And so you can, as long as everybody at the hospital is cool, and usually they think it's awesome when you bring your carrier to the hospital and wear your baby while you're walking up and down and getting your exercise after you have your baby. But I definitely recommend that. I recommend, just practicing and watching videos and honestly giving yourself some grace, because baby wearing is a learned response. And so it's really, it's something that is not inherent like breathing. It's something that you have to learn. And so don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to let the company that you buy the carrier from know, like, something's not working, I need more help, or joining a baby wearing group that has volunteers. Here in Chicago, we have a couple free meetings a month, and we just teach people how to wear babies in carriers so that they're happy. And that makes me happy because, like I said, I was really bad at it in the beginning. And if I can do it, you all can do it too. Any other questions that everybody has? I'm so happy to have been with you today. I'm trying to get out of the sun here. I really, really enjoyed it. And we do have a discount code. It's Prego Expo 30 for anything off of the Tula website that's regular priced. And I'm this side. Okay. So if you have more questions, please come back to my booth and visit me. I will be there after this. Thank you guys so very much. And it was definitely my pleasure to talk to you about baby wearing. Somebody had a question about washing. Cold water wash, gentle cycle, liquid detergent, no brighteners, no bleach, and then hang it dry. I usually buckle all the buckles if it's a buckle carrier. Usually that'll be good for everything. So, dad shirt pouches. I haven't used those a lot. Usually they're sized. And so I don't usually buy things that are sized because I like to switch from caregiver to caregiver. So that's another thing that is going to help you if your carrier can be switched from one person to another. So there is so much more to talk about with baby wearing. I'm happy to meet you over at the Tula booth. And